Okay, so let's start. Hello and good afternoon, everyone. We're back with yet another TedxSpotlight interview, and I'll be your host for today. My name is Hannah Patricia Haltea, and I am a member of the Sponsorships and Finance Committee of TEDx Villamonte. And today, I bring to you a very special speaker. Especially if you live in the city of Hinigaran, you've probably already heard about this man. If not, maybe you've dined in his restaurant before. Before that, allow me the honor of introducing our guest for today. Don Colmenares is a young rising chef here in Bacolod City, a successful business owner and an honorable councilor in the city of Hinigaran. Chef Don is a graduate of Bachelor of Science in International Hospitality Management, specialization in culinary arts at Enduran Colleges. After college, he put up his restaurant called Berbeza, a Southeast Asian bistro located in Lacson Street. Berbeza focuses on promoting local products that can be found here in the island of Negros. Just last year, he represented the Philippines in a tuna festival held in Portugal. Indeed, he is changing and stepping up our game in the food scene. Outside the kitchen, he is passionate for the next generation. He wants to impart his knowledge to us while continuing the traditions that we have. So, Sir Don, thank you very much for joining us today.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Before we start with our questions, would you give us a brief introduction as to your restaurant, your background?
Oh, okay. So hi, my name is Don Colmenares. I'm the owner of Berbeza Bistro in Bacolod City, and I am also a municipal councilor in the municipality of Hinigaran. And yeah.
All right, let's start. So one thing that I was really curious about when I read about your profile, for one, was that the difference between being a chef as well as being a counselor. So would you mind telling us what motivated you to open up a restaurant?
Actually, opening a restaurant has been like a lifelong dream ever since I was small, ever since I was a kid. My passion was food, my passion was cooking, and as soon as I graduated, I did some work. I did some work abroad, and then I did some work and opened Berbeza. It's actually it took actually 4 years in the making to create Berbeza, and then so far so good.
So before you wanted to become a counselor, you had your mind set on opening up a restaurant already?
Oh yeah, I already had Berbeza long before I was a counselor.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
If that's the case, then the other way around, when you had your restaurant, what made you want to go into the government and to be a counselor?
Funny story. I used to be the SK president of Hinigaran when I was still in high school and then until first year college. And so I got back and opened the restaurant and everything. And after a while, seeing how maybe I could make a difference in our town, a better difference with a lot of other things like supporting local produce, teaching people how to create certain products they never knew had the potential. And that's when I decided to run for councilor. And thank God I won.
Truly a blessing. My goodness. But wow, okay, so that was the story. I had actually assumed that you wanted to be a counselor first and then the food came after, but it turns out that it was the other way around.
Yeah, it's another way around. It's also a family thing. Like on both sides of my family side, there are a lot of politicians. So it goes without saying that it's also in the blood.
So it was in you to become a politician as well.
Yeah, in a way.
So if that's the case, were there also a lot of people in your family who were involved in the food industry?
The food industry, not so much. maybe I could count with both of my hands the people who are in the food industry on both sides of my family, actually. I have a few cousins on my dad's side who own a few restaurants in Cebu and in Manila. A few cousins who are chefs in the US. And locally, just a few, but that's it. That's as far as it goes when it comes to the culinary field or the hospitality field.
Oh, okay. So did that in any way affect the way that they did they support you in your dream to open up a restaurant, or were they pushing you to become a politician?
At first, that's always the question. This one question that
Were they
uh,
supportive?
every family would ask you is that you have a restaurant and you're also going into a job that actually requires a lot of time. And one biggest question is, kaya mo? There's always that one question, kaya mo? And that's what I've heard so many times. And I said, yeah, if I can manage my time responsibly, then knowing my priorities and my responsibilities, then it's actually easy. It's really easy to manage.
All right. But that's also great to hear that you've been able to balance both of that. So moving on, what is your vision behind this restaurant?
Actually, Berbeza was at first we were thinking about, there were so many concepts to go on and think about what can be sold or what we can put up in Bacolod that hasn't been put up yet. And so one of the things that we're trying to do is create a Southeast Asian restaurant that basically concentrates on Southeast Asian flavors. And so we got that down pat because basically there are a lot of Asian restaurants, but we were trying to concentrate on Southeast Asia, basically Malaysian, Singaporean, Vietnamese, Filipino, and basically that's where we revolve our menu around. And secondly, we also looked at the availability of ingredients. So we had to find out
Hello? Sir? Sir Don? Hello? Oh, okay. So I hope that our audience is willing to bear with us as we go through this technical difficulty and wait for Sir Don's connection to be restored. But what he was doing was explaining the... Oh, welcome back. You left the call all of a sudden.
I think the signal got lost.
You were just mentioning how the rationale behind opening up the restaurant.
Yeah, because we try to go on to use local produce to promote also Negros Occidental, and that a lot of restaurants here, they always have this mindset that you have to buy imported, you have to buy this, you have to buy that, you have to buy all these branded things. But in reality, you don't need to, because a lot of the ingredients you can find locally. I mean, not unless you're looking for Capri olives or really expensive olive oil or those things, but you can always find coconut oil, you can always find palm oil, you can always find canola oil, which is very local. And producing these different dishes from around different countries, regions of different countries, it's actually amazing.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's nice. But
So as much as possible, we support everything, even local farmers, local fisher folk, local growers. As much as possible, these are the people we support the most. And that's where the advocacy came in for the restaurant, that we support local.
I love that. I find it admirable whenever establishments or businesses themselves really commit to supporting local farmers, local products, local artists. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big advocacy for us. I mean, especially for the younger crowd now, they realize how support local is a big thing now. Um, it's funny because a lot of the people here are still not used to some things, like like the people in Negros would get are still not used to having this certain taste or this certain herb or this certain product that they've never had before, and then when they try it, it takes them a while to absorb it, and then that's when they realize like, it's good. Then they come back, and then you have to make other people try. You have to. It's a very very big circle to try and fill.
Yes, the circle of life.
Yeah, it's really hard.
Yeah, I think that goes for a lot of other things as well, that you're scared of trying it first, but once you start, you realize it's not nearly as bad as you thought. Plus, this is also for, like it's a great, pushes for great causes as well.
Yeah, it's surprisingly that if you actually go around Negros, a lot of the ingredients are cheaper than you'd normally get them in Bacolod because they're from other towns, other cities, other municipalities around Negros. So, like example, let's just say the blue crab, kasag. You can buy those from north to south, and each one has different qualities if you're from the north or if you're from the south. Each one has their own opinion, which is better. But however, like example, you here in Bacolod, you can buy kasag at what 380 and 400, 320 a kilo. But if you go to Victorias, or you go to Escalante, or you go to Sagay, or you go to Himamaylan, or you go to all of these other towns, it comes out cheaper. Like sometimes it's 220 a kilo, 180 a kilo, sometimes 300 a kilo. So it's a big difference. But then there's that middle person involved. So if you go straight to the source, you eliminate that middle person and you go directly to the person who's actually going out and fishing. So it helps them more.
Yeah. Getting it directly from the source really helps benefit the source.
Yeah, so even farmers. Like one of the things that I did, I actually do as a counselor is that we give relief efforts or relief care packages to our constituents in Hinigaran. And when I saw that people were giving, sardines, noodles, they were giving all these things that were basically in a can or in a pack, instant food, I realized that we can figure out something else and everyone in the chain, because you're actually like, if you buy the brand of sardines, you're helping something that's a national company. You buy instant noodles, you're helping a multinational company. So why not buy vegetables, chop it up, pack it up, and you're actually helping the farmers more. So that's what we did. So instead of giving rice, noodles, and sardines, what we were giving was rice and packed vegetables like a pakbet mix, chop suey mix, or like basically something that helps out everybody from the bottom to the top.
That's a great mindset to have. And I love that it reflects in the restaurant, because that's something that you guys do.
Oh yeah, we as much as possible we buy all our ingredients locally. So basically, like the things that aren't local are maybe some of the sauces. Some of the sauces you can't buy locally, so we have to buy some. Or if we cannot find any, then we have to make some. Especially right now, there aren't so much or so many imported products coming in. So we have to do with what we have, and it's surprisingly cheaper. It would save us, but then you just add a bit more effort. So more work, more elbow grease, but in the long run, it's beneficial to everybody, especially locally.
True, it's true. All right, so if we can continue to our next question, which I'm sure is one that a lot of people are curious about. How do you balance your work as a counselor of Hinigaran and being a chef and a restaurant owner?
Okay. Yeah, that's actually a lot of questions I even get
Yes.
today. A lot. It's actually just knowing your priorities, basically. So, example, we have a session every week. So it's all the counselors get together and basically we talk about budgets and stuff like that. Approve this, approve that, or the usual things you find in a LGU. Um, so basically that happens once a week, and in between that we have other things like meetings with committees and stuff like this. So we have to finish everything that we have to do there before you go on to your other business. Now, there are other counselors who actually have other businesses, and surprisingly, I have to say this, for the past year and past year of being a counselor, it's actually it's the time that you have being a counselor is a little easier to balance than it is being a chef or being a business owner.
Really?
Because sometimes your business, the kitchen, the restaurant actually requires a lot of, you have to concentrate a lot. You have to really know everything. And at the same time, you have to make sure all of your staff are trained. So you train them really well before you go out and do any other things. So it was at first really hard to balance. But once you get the groove of everything, it's okay. As long as you know your priorities, you know your responsibilities, and you just know how to categorize each one, you'll find the balance somewhere.
A lot of people talk about time management, but in this case, I think that's priority management.
Oh yeah, time is actually, you can always find time to do something. You can always find time to solve a problem if you really want to solve a problem. You can always find time to find an answer if you want to find an answer. But it's just if you prioritize which one goes first.
That's true. Yeah. But it's also really interesting to me how at first it was more difficult for you as a restaurant owner rather than a politician, because most people would think otherwise. But that just shows that you really shouldn't underestimate how it is to own a restaurant.
Oh yeah, no, it's actually, some people think, that's easy. Not really. It's not at all easy. I know restaurant owners who sometimes sleep in their restaurants, or I know some people who spend literally 24/7 in their restaurant, and it's really tiring. But then if you know how to balance everything, you can actually find a perfect balance on your business and another business. Like basically like being a counselor, it's we actually have a lot of friends who are counselors as well, and they have their own businesses too. Depends on the degree of the business or what type of business, but a lot of them say it's actually pretty easy to manage both.
Interesting. It just so happens that the business that you chose to start up was especially focusing and mentally stressful and pressuring.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure. There are days that sometimes I'm thinking about LGU work while I'm in the restaurant, and sometimes when I'm in the LGU, I'm thinking about work in the restaurant. So it's stressful, but it's actually good.
It must be worthwhile as well. You get to do all of your passions all at once.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. It's very interesting, and maybe also when you're looking at how everything works today, it's a lot about priorities. Like, I mean, nowadays it's really hard to do a lot of the things you think you used to do, and now it's a little harder. So it's also a big adjustment, especially when it's for us then.
Hello?
Yep. Oh, sorry.
Okay. All right. So we're gonna move on to another question. Concerning your work as a counselor, naman, let's focus on the politics side. What projects do you currently have lined up for your municipality?
So for the municipality, there's not so much we can do right now. But before COVID hit, there was this project I did that I would teach certain barangays or certain areas about how their product can be better or how they can make their product better. Or maybe from selling product A, you can create another product B and sell it at a higher price or at a different price or at the same price so that you get a unique portfolio to show other people and to have investors see that, oh, sige, we can invest in you. Why not, right? So that was one of my major projects before everything.
People to engage.
Yeah, before. Yeah. So like example, there's this group in one of the barangays in our town that basically they sell vegetables. They would go to farmers that are far off, like literally maybe it would even take your car a hard time to get to their village or their city or their area and get their vegetables, then bring it down to the town and then sell it for them. So that's the middleman, right?
Yeah.
So like example, 1 kilo of 1 kilo of palatong or string beans, basically for them it's only 40 pesos. So when they buy it at 20 pesos a kilo. So for them, they'll sell it at 40 to 60 pesos a kilo. But then I also realized that you could actually make a different product. So I asked them, what else do you guys harvest or what else do you guys sell? And then they said, oh, we also buy papaya, we also buy carrots, we also buy all of these other vegetables. And I said, so why don't you make achara? Why don't you make packed vegetables already? And then you just sell those already for a higher price, 40 pesos, 20 pesos. You make a little bit more money. And then they asked me, how can we do that? So I taught them how. I taught them how to process. I taught them how to pack. I taught them how to bottle. And they're doing well. That first batch actually did a good job for the past 2 months because that was basically like a pilot group that we had to make. So far they're actually doing pretty well because like some people during COVID they had a hard time selling a lot of their produce, a lot of their vegetables, and I told some of them, so why don't you make a produce that basically would have a longer shelf life and then people could buy and use even in town or even in Bacolod. And so there's some people who made achara, some people who made like the season of fruit, duhat or lumboy. They made jam. So they're selling those now and they're doing pretty good.
Oh. That's actually
and basically I do that for free.
Oh, really? You just
I teach them for free. I just tell them a place and time to where they can go or where we can meet, and then I teach them, and then done. I just show them everything. I don't ask them for anything. I just want to basically help them get as much information as they can so they can process it, and then they realize it that it's actually a good idea. And then so when they execute it, they see the real result, and it's actually a better idea than before.
Yeah, that's also quite ingenious, especially since they weren't able to sell the raw materials as it is. So it's a great suggestion to transform those raw materials, combine them into something that's more in demand or something that they can sell at a higher price. I think that's the biggest factor actually that being a counselor and being a chef is also because the produce that we have is the seafood that we have in Hinigaran, some of the fresh produce that we have in Hinigaran, I actually promote those here. And aside from just Hinigaran alone, I go to other towns and get their produce and sell it here. So it's just not in Hinigaran. It's also around, maybe you get tuna from Kawayan, or you get urchin from Sipalay, or maybe we get blue crabs from Escalante. So these are the places that we go to and we get the ingredients and we promote it here in the restaurant. It's just that we always try. It's actually a struggle sometimes to get people to order these dishes or these ingredients, because sometimes they're like pag-o naman or kahang or like these things. So it's a challenge. But then once they
order it once, they'll keep on ordering again. So it's a long process.
All right, it's also really notable that even through your works as a counselor, your love and passion for food still shines through, and it's a big factor with your plans as counselor. I think that's great, combining
Oh,
passions. You're able to help a lot of people that way.
yeah. The committee that I'm in as a counselor is Department of DTI, it's basically Trade and Industry. So in a way, we're trying to produce more businesses for the people around the town, for making people realize that they have more to offer than just what's there.
Yeah.
And you can utilize other things, not just, I mean, like we're known as the oyster capital of Negros, but I mean since there were a few times that now the oysters aren't as good as they were maybe 10 years ago. Ilog now is like the oyster capital. So it's like that. It's a slow process to make people realize that what we have is actually really good, but we still have to take care of it, and that's what we're trying to help do, especially in the town.
Wow. A lot of great passions and advocacies that's being pushed through you and your actions and your projects and your restaurant. That's great.
Yeah, it's just tiring sometimes that some people are, yeah, the usual tiga-ulo. So it's the most common term na lang for people who are from Negros na mga tiga-ulo. So when they realize, they see, they're like, ay, okay, sige, sige. So, okay.
Okay, moving on to another question. As a restaurant owner and a counselor of Hinigaran, what do you think are some important qualities needed to be considered a good leader of society?
Wow. Basically, well, discipline is number one. You really need to know how to control yourself as well. You need to know how to, like me, as a counselor, you need to be very down to earth. I mean, uh, everybody is at middle par. Basically, like everyone's in the middle. No one's higher, no one's lower. And you treat that with the utmost respect as you can. So, as much as possible, you see everyone as an equal. I mean, it doesn't matter if that person's tapasero, if the person is a business owner, everyone is treated equal. And as a counselor, that's a big thing. That's actually one of the most important things, because you cannot choose who you're serving, because you're serving the whole town, and everyone is part of that whole town. Everyone is part of that whole community. And it's actually the same thing as a business owner, is because you have to try and cater to as much as you can. So even in the business sense, like we try to get local, we try to support local, and me as much as possible as an individual, we try to eat local. So it's a big give and take process.
So the important points were discipline, to be humble, respect.
Yeah, it's a big thing. You have to be very respectful to everyone, and especially you have to, basically whatever you say, you have to actually show. So it's very hard to just talk or to make promises with somebody and not show up with whatever you promised. So that's the respect, and that's the discipline that you need to develop in both cases. Because even as a business owner, you need to have the same values as you are as a politician.
You have to be able to walk your talk. Basically.
Oh yeah.
I think that's also important, since empty promises, especially from a politician's mouth, they're really not going to be well accepted.
Oh yeah, we get bad raps for that. I mean, I mean, the usual politician is you always get that bad, you get that bad vibe, you get that negative connotation already. But in reality, if you just prove yourself, it goes away. And then you prove people wrong, it even feels better.
And it just goes to show that there still are some politicians out there who really are doing their best for our country and for the people.
Yeah, there are some, and it sometimes gets blocked with negativity, but yeah.
For our last question, I just like to ask if there's anything that you want to share to the audience, if there's anything that you would like to say in order to encourage them, to influence them, what would that like? What would that be?
Right now, especially with this pandemic happening to everybody, it's not just affecting the upper class, it's middle class or lower class, it's affecting everybody. As much as possible, it's also depending on each other. It's not just trying to basically feed your thirst for something imported or something social or something like this. It's supporting local as much as possible. So basically, there have been tons of people on Facebook like posting eat local, support local, buy local, food chains, businesses, mom and pop shops, local hotels, resorts, and as much as possible. Yeah, bartering food. That's actually one thing also. But then there's also sometimes people abuse that. There's some people that it's sad to say that people abuse it. It's sad to say that people take advantage of it, and that's not the right thing to do, especially in this situation. It's better just to be as transparent as possible. Support local restaurants like. Um, I mean, okay, if I'm marketing my own, support a restaurant here, Berbeza Bistro, support Bar 21, support Niaca, support Kaise, support Nezu, support Mushu, support Portico, support Terras. All of these local restaurants, support them because basically locally these are the people who are these are the establishments who are suffering the most. I mean, okay, Jollibee, McDonald's, KFC, Chowking, Greenwich, they're locally owned. They're owned by locals, but I mean they're international food chains. They're national food chains. They're multinational food chains, and yes, there are people working for them, but it's also like if we during ECQ, even ECQ, we found out like a lot of restaurant sales were going up because a lot of people were ordering in, people weren't coming out of their houses, they're calling for deliveries. Yes, but then there were these instances that the Jollibee's line was longer than one block, or McDonald's line was longer than a block away, or KFC line was longer than a block away on their drive-through. And then when we kept on driving and we saw these other restaurants that were open, but no one was there, or no one was ordering from them, or no one was getting their food. And then we could see a line of food pandas, like maybe 20 food pandas. In Jollibee, we could see 20 food pandas. In McDonald's, we could see 20 food pandas. In KFC. And we were like, why not other restaurants? Why not order from other local restaurants that are having a harder time than Jollibee or McDo or KFC has? So that's actually one of the main points that we're trying to do is support local, because everyone's affected. I mean, a lot of businesses surprisingly are closing, or a lot of businesses are actually closed because of what happened because of the pandemic. And it's such a disheartening thing to see that when you're driving along Lacson and you see a few restaurants space for rent, and then you look at it and you realize, wait a minute, wasn't that like this? And then you go to the others, oh wait, wasn't this like this? And then yeah, it's disheartening to see that. And it, as a business owner, it sometimes boosts your confidence. Oh, sige, less competition. But in reality, you're still at a constant. You're competing with everybody. But in reality, it's still we're all surviving this thing as one. No one is thriving. No one is doing better than this person. No one is doing better than that person. We're everybody surviving, and if we can survive and if we can survive together, then it's actually a better. It's gonna come out with a better out. It's gonna have a better outcome if we survive together. So, support your local restaurants. A lot of the restaurants now have, if you notice, maybe their old menu to their new menus. They changed a few things. They adapted to a few things. Some restaurants who never did Grab or never did Food Panda are now doing Food Panda. Some people who never opened for takeout, or takeout or deliveries now do it, and in our restaurants we do it now. We deliver and we do takeouts. So we are all adapting to it. We're doing frozen food. We're doing all of these things. So it's better for everyone to recover is if you would buy local. So buying instead of buying inasal from Mang Inasal, why don't you buy inasal from Nena's Rose or Ida's or Manokan Country or Chicken House? Why do you have to buy Mang Inasal? Why would you end up buying fried chicken at Jollibee where there are other restaurants who sell good fried chicken or better fried chicken? So it's like that. It's like support local as much as possible. Local farmers, local businesses, local growers, local restaurants, local everything as much as possible.
All right. I think that's really encompasses a lot of not just your values, but of your ideals that will really be able to help not just our audience, but for our audience to reach out to people of our community. Yeah. Thank you very much for sharing.
Thank you
feel
so
like
much.
I learned a lot from this session. Yeah.
I realized a lot also. I realized a lot of what I was with what you're talking about. Basically, the same thing that we've been thinking about is as much as possible, we have to survive this thing and then come out on top. And by doing so, as one community, as one, support local as much as possible.
We have to come out through all of this together.
Oh yeah.
I love that. So that was it for our interview. Thank you so much, Sir Don, for sharing your knowledge and your ideas. I'm sure that our audience has been inspired by this because I know I have. So I hope that.
Thank you. I hope I was helpful.
Yes, you definitely. Thank you very much again. And to all our viewers, please subscribe to the TEDx Villamonte YouTube channel. And we hope that the learnings that you were able to get from this interview, that you will be able to apply this to your lives as well, to support local, because the best way that we can get through this pandemic is together. Thank you so much, Sir John. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
All the best.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you.